Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. Galactic Council Orders Tribute. Humanity's reply is a single word. The massive alien ship emerged from nowhere, appearing silently above Earth's atmosphere on a quiet Tuesday morning. Its hull gleamed with an otherworldly metal that seemed to absorb rather than reflect sunlight. For 6 hours, it simply hung there motionless against the blue backdrop of Earth's sky, visible to half the planet and causing global panic. Admiral Kim sat rigid in his command chair at United Earth Defense Force headquarters in Seoul. The holographic displays surrounding him showed the vessel from multiple angles captured by satellites and ground-based telescopes. His weathered face betrayed no emotion, but the tension in his shoulders told a different story. "Anything from our hailing frequencies?" he asked his communications officer. "Nothing, sir. We've tried all standard protocols and several experimental ones. They're receiving but not responding." The admiral nodded, his eyes never leaving the central display. At 58, Kim had spent his entire adult life in military service, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. Humanity's first confirmed contact with an alien species, and they weren't responding to any attempts at communication. "Sir," his tactical officer called out, voice cracking slightly, "we're detecting energy buildups within the vessel. They might be preparing to..." Before she could finish, every screen, device, and communication system on Earth simultaneously activated. Television broadcasts were interrupted, phone calls disconnected, internet services hijacked. On each display appeared the same image: a tall, blue-skinned being with 4 arms seated on what appeared to be a throne of some kind. Its features were almost reptilian, with vertical pupils in golden eyes and a slight ridge where a human nose would be. When it spoke, its mouth moved oddly out of sync with the words, as if the translation was happening in real time. "People of Earth," the alien began, its voice deep and without emotion, "I am Grand Executive V of the Galactic Council, Sector 7. Your planet has been under observation for 276 of your years. The assessment is now complete." Admiral Kim leaned forward, feeling sweat beading on his forehead despite the climate-controlled environment. "You have been categorized as a Level 3 civilization according to the Council's standard developmental index. As such, you are now subject to Galactic Council Ordinance 4721, requiring annual tribute of 30% of your planetary resources." Murmurs broke out across the command center. Kim raised a hand, silencing his staff. "This is not a negotiation," the alien continued. "Compliance is mandatory. Resistance is futile and will result in immediate punitive action. You have 30 Earth rotations to prepare your first payment. Detailed requirements will follow this transmission. Acknowledge receipt." The screen went blank for a moment, then data began streaming across it. Complex calculations detailing exactly what resources were expected, including minerals, gases, water, biological samples, and more. "They want our water," someone whispered. "Our minerals, our people." Admiral Kim stood abruptly. "Get me the Security Council, now." Within hours, the United Nations Security Council convened an emergency session. Representatives from all member nations gathered, both physically and virtually, their faces grim as they reviewed the alien demands. "This is robbery," the French representative exclaimed. "They expect us to simply hand over nearly a third of our planet's resources." The Chinese ambassador spoke calmly. "We must consider the technological gap. Their vessel alone suggests capabilities far beyond our own." "So we just surrender?" asked the American representative, her voice sharp with frustration. In Seoul, Admiral Kim participated virtually, surrounded by his senior staff and a growing team of scientists. "We've been analyzing the data from their transmission," he said. "Dr. Han, please share your findings." Dr. Han, a slight woman with intelligent eyes, adjusted her glasses. "The vessel houses energy weapons we can barely comprehend. Based on our calculations, a single blast could level a city the size of Tokyo. They appear to have shield technology that would render our most advanced weapons ineffective." Silence fell over the conference, but she continued. There's something odd about their approach. For a species so advanced, their tactics seem predictable, almost formulaic. Back at UEDF headquarters, the science team worked around the clock. Dr. Han coordinated with scientists globally, sharing data and theories. Their preliminary analysis suggested the alien vessel utilized an energy system unlike anything human. Panic spread across Earth despite government attempts to maintain calm. Footage of the alien transmission leaked online. Religious groups proclaimed the end times. Some people fled to remote areas, while others gathered in cities seeking safety in numbers. Markets crashed worldwide as resources were hoarded. In major cities, protests erupted outside government buildings. People demanded protection, answers, action. Military forces worldwide went to high alert, but with explicit orders not to engage the alien vessel under any circumstances. 3 days after the initial contact, a second transmission came through. "Your silence is noted," the Grand Executive stated. "Be aware that noncompliance will result in demonstration of force. Previous Level 3 civilizations required such demonstrations before understanding their position. We would prefer to avoid unnecessary damage to resources." Admiral Kim watched the message replay, noting the subtle threats and the reference to other civilizations. "They've done this before," he murmured. "This is routine for them." Dr. Han nodded grimly. "And that might be their weakness. They're treating us like every other species they've encountered." The science team continued their analysis, now focusing on historical data, searching for any unusual atmospheric or geological events in Earth's past that might indicate previous alien visits. They found nothing conclusive, but Dr. Han remained convinced that understanding the Galactic Council's patterns was key to formulating a response. On day 5, a disturbing discovery was made. Satellites detected multiple smaller craft departing the main vessel, descending to various points around the globe. They appeared to be taking samples, drilling into the Earth, extracting water from oceans, capturing wildlife. "They're cataloging our resources," Dr. Han explained during an emergency briefing, "creating an inventory of what they can take." Admiral Kim ordered discreet surveillance of these collection ships, but maintained his order not to engage. Instead, he directed his team to gather as much data as possible on their technology and methods. By the end of the first week, the Security Council had established a unified response team with Admiral Kim appointed as military liaison. The world's nations, faced with an external threat, set aside their differences with remarkable speed. As day 10 approached, Dr. Han made a breakthrough. Analyzing the energy signatures from the alien vessels, she discovered cyclical patterns that suggested their systems operated on principles that, while advanced, followed predictable rules. "Their technology is powerful but rigid," she explained to Admiral Kim. "It's as if they haven't needed to innovate in centuries because no one has challenged them." The Admiral considered this information carefully. "So they're bullies who haven't been punched back in a long time." Dr. Han smiled thinly. "Exactly, and that might give us an opening, however small." As humanity grappled with the reality of their situation, scientists around the world worked feverishly to understand their new galactic neighbors, and to find any weakness that might help Earth avoid becoming just another tributary world in a cosmic empire they never knew existed. Dr. Park rubbed her tired eyes as she stared at her computer screen. For nearly 72 hours straight, she had been working with only short naps in her office chair. Coffee cups littered her desk, and her normally neat appearance had given way to disheveled hair and wrinkled clothes. None of that mattered now. What mattered was understanding exactly what Earth was facing. As Earth's leading xenolinguist, Dr. Park had spent her career studying theoretical alien communication patterns. Now theory had become reality in the most threatening way possible. "Play it again," she told her assistant. "Slow down section 42B. The recording played once more. The blue alien's voice filled the small, secure room beneath SNU National University, where her emergency team had set up operations. Dr. Park listened intently, noting subtle variations in tone and syntax. Her team of 20 linguists from 12 countries worked at nearby stations. each focused on different aspects of the alien language. "There," she said, pointing to a waveform on her screen. "That modifier is different from standard universal translation protocols they're using elsewhere. It carries hierarchical significance." Dr. Jin, exactly. They're not just telling us what to do, they're placing us in a specific category within their system. Dr. Park began typing rapidly, cross-referencing with other sections of the transmission. 3 days later, Dr. Park stood before a secure video conference with world leaders. Admiral Kim introduced her, his face grave. Dr. Park has completed her preliminary analysis of the alien communication. Her findings are concerning. Dr. Park adjusted her glasses and began. "Thank you, Admiral. After analyzing the complete transmission, including embedded data packets we initially missed, we've learned the Galactic Council has been observing Earth for centuries, not just decades as they claimed." She brought up a diagram showing a pyramidal structure. "They operate on a strict hierarchical system, categorizing all species they encounter. Their language contains inherent status markers that reveal this worldview. Earth has been classified as level 3 on their developmental scale." The American president leaned forward. "And what exactly does level 3 mean?" "Based on contextual clues and embedded reference data, level 3 means we're considered intelligent enough to be useful for resource extraction and possibly labor, but not advanced enough to deserve equal standing in their galactic community." Dr. Park's voice remained steady despite delivering this grim assessment. "Are there level 1 and 2 species?" someone asked. "Yes, level 2 appears to be pre-industrial civilizations. Level 1 seems to reference non-sentient life forms. Levels 4 and 5 are mentioned as having certain rights and representation within the Council." "So we're just smart enough to be good slaves," the British Prime Minister said bluntly. Dr. Park nodded. "That appears to be their view, yes." Meanwhile, across the world in a hardened military facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Lee was leading a very different kind of analysis. His team of engineers and physicists had been studying the data collected from the alien mothership and its smaller scout vessels. General Lee was not a man who showed emotion easily. At 62, his military career had been marked by methodical analysis and calm under pressure. These traits served him well now, as he reviewed the findings his team had compiled. "Show me the energy signature analysis again," he instructed Dr. Kang, the lead physicist. Dr. Kang brought up a complex waveform on the main screen. "This is the pattern we've observed from their main propulsion system. And here," he switched to another display, "is their weapon system charging sequence." General Lee studied both carefully. "They're remarkably similar." "Yes, sir, all their systems operate on the same basic principles. It's efficient engineering, but it creates a single point of vulnerability," General Lee finished. "If you can disrupt one system, you can potentially disrupt them all." Dr. Kang confirmed. 3 days of further testing confirmed their theory. The alien technology, while centuries beyond Earth's capabilities in many ways, relied on remarkably consistent energy patterns. Their systems were powerful but predictable, like a machine that had been perfected but not fundamentally improved in generations. General Lee requested an emergency meeting with the global response team. When his turn came to speak, his presentation was direct and free of technical jargon. "We've been analyzing the aliens' technology since they arrived," he began. "While they are significantly more advanced than us in many areas, we've discovered something unexpected." He displayed a simple graph showing energy patterns. "Their technology operates on predictable cycles and frequencies. More importantly, these patterns are consistent across all their systems: weapons, shields, communications, everything." Admiral Kim leaned forward. "What does this mean for us, practically speaking?" "It means they've been using the same technology for a very long time without significant innovation. Their systems are powerful but rigid." General Lee paused, letting this sink in. "In military terms, they've grown complacent. They've been bullying less advanced species for millennia," he continued, his voice steady. "They don't expect resistance. They've never needed to innovate." The room was silent as the implications became clear. You're saying they have a weakness, the Chinese premier stated. Every system has weaknesses, General Li replied. Theirs is that they don't expect us to find any. They believe their technological superiority is absolute. Dr. Park spoke up from her video feed. This matches what we found in their language patterns. They have no terms for technological failure when dealing with level 3 species, no contingency protocols in their communications. Over the next few days, General Li's team worked closely with Dr. Park's linguists, correlating technical data with the cultural and linguistic information. A clearer picture emerged of a galactic power that had grown stagnant, relying on overwhelming technological advantage rather than adaptability. They remind me of colonial powers from Earth's history, Dr. Park noted during one joint session. They have standard procedures for subjugating less developed societies. They don't customize their approach because they've never needed to. General Li nodded. The strongest military can grow weak if it never faces real challenge. With just 15 days remaining before the tribute deadline, General Li presented a more detailed analysis to world leaders. His team had identified specific frequencies that seemed to regulate the aliens' shield harmonics. We believe their defensive systems operate on cyclical patterns, he explained. There are microsecond intervals where recalibration occurs. It's only a theory, but if we could time an attack to exploit these gaps. With what weapons? The Russian president asked skeptically. You just said their technology is centuries beyond ours. Sometimes the simplest approach works best, General Li replied. We don't need to match their technology, we just need to disrupt it at the right moment. As the meeting concluded, Admiral Kim remained behind with General Li and Dr. Park's video feed. How confident are you in this assessment? He asked them both. Dr. Park answered first. Their language and behavior show all the hallmarks of an empire that hasn't faced serious resistance in thousands of years. They're following a script. General Li nodded, and their technology, while advanced, shows signs of standardization over innovation. They've optimized rather than evolved. Admiral Kim considered this. Then perhaps it's time humanity went off script. As they parted ways to continue their work, a new sense of purpose spread through both research teams. The Galactic Council might have been bullying species across the stars for millennia, but they had never encountered humans before, and humans had a long history of resisting bullies, no matter the odds. Deep beneath the streets of Geneva, 200 meters underground, world leaders gathered in a bunker designed to withstand nuclear attack. The room was large, but felt cramped with so many important people packed inside. The air smelled stale despite the advanced ventilation systems. Tension filled the space as leaders from every major nation sat around a massive round table. 5 days remained until the Galactic Council's deadline. The Secretary General of the United Nations stood at the head of the table, her face grave. We have gathered today to make the most important decision in human history. Our options are limited, our time short. On the walls, screens displayed the alien mothership that still hung in Earth's orbit. Smaller craft continued to dart down to the surface, taking samples and scanning. They ignored all attempts at communication. The French president spoke first. We must try negotiation. Surely we can offer some resources without giving up 30% of everything we have. They've made it clear this isn't a negotiation, the Indian Prime Minister countered. Their language contains no terms for compromise with level 3 species. Then perhaps we should comply at least initially, suggested the Brazilian president. Buy ourselves time to develop better defenses. Murmurs filled the room, some agreeing, others objecting strongly. The Chinese premier shook his head. Dr. Park's analysis suggests compliance will only lead to increased demands over time. Other species who submitted saw the tribute percentage rise from 30 to 50 within their equivalent of 5 years. And what about military options? The Russian president asked, his voice cutting through the chatter. We haven't discussed those yet. Admiral Kim had been sitting quietly, listening to the debate. Now he stood, waiting for the room to fall silent before speaking. We've analyzed all available data on the Galactic Council. he began. With help from Dr. Park's team, we've decoded information about their previous encounters with other civilizations. He tapped a command into the table's surface. The screens changed to show star maps with 17 points highlighted. We've confirmed the Council has done this to 17 other species in our galactic sector alone, Admiral Kim continued, his voice steady but grim. None resisted successfully. All are now essentially slave worlds, harvested for resources while their populations live in managed poverty. The room grew very quiet as the magnitude of what they faced settled over everyone present. Can we evacuate? Admiral Kim shook his head. Not with current technology and certainly not in meaningful numbers. So we either submit or face destruction, the German Chancellor said, her voice bitter. Not necessarily. All heads turned toward a new voice. A woman in a crisp military uniform had entered the room quietly during Admiral Kim's presentation. She was younger than most people present, perhaps in her late 30s, with short black hair and an intense gaze. This is Captain Yun, Admiral Kim introduced her, commander of the Quantum Displacement Project. Captain Yun nodded respectfully to the assembly before speaking. For the past decade, I've been leading a classified international program developing technology based on quantum physics anomalies discovered in 2015. She walked to the central display and entered a security code. The screens changed to show what looked like sleek naval vessels, but strangely distorted, as if the light around them bent in unnatural ways. These ships don't exist officially, she continued. They don't appear on any military roster or budget. Only 12 people in this room knew about them before today. The American president leaned forward. I wasn't briefed on this. That was intentional, Admiral Kim explained. Complete compartmentalization was necessary. Even I was only given full details 3 days ago. Captain Yun continued. We have 10 vessels equipped with quantum displacement drives. Simply put, they can manipulate space-time around them, allowing them to functionally disappear from one location and appear in another without traversing the space between. Teleportation? Someone asked skeptically. No, it's more complex than that. The ships don't teleport, they fold space around themselves. The effect is limited in range and duration, but it gives us capabilities that the Galactic Council won't be expecting. She played footage showing one of the ships in action. It sat in open ocean, then seemed to blur and vanish, only to reappear 3 km away an instant later. No visible propulsion, no warning. We've been testing them in the Mariana Trench and other deep ocean locations, away from satellite observation, Captain Yun explained. Based on General Lee's analysis, we believe the Council's sensors can't track quantum displacement because their technology developed along different lines. Excited murmurs ran through the room. How effective would these be against their mothership? The Russian president asked. The ships themselves are not primarily weapons platforms, Captain Yun clarified. But they can transport conventional weapons to precise coordinates, bypassing the aliens' defensive shields by approaching from within their defensive perimeter. Can they detect these ships? The Chinese premier asked. We don't believe so. Their scanning technology follows predictable patterns. They look for what they expect to find: conventional propulsion signatures, radar profiles, heat emissions. Our ships produce none of these when in displacement mode. The room buzzed with new energy as leaders began to see a possible way forward. This still sounds like suicide, the Canadian Prime Minister warned. Even with this technology, we're talking about attacking a vastly superior force. Admiral Kim nodded. The risk is substantial, but Captain Yun's fleet gives us an option beyond simple submission. We have one advantage: they don't expect resistance. They believe we'll respond as others have, with either fear or conventional weapons, Captain Yun added. Their entire approach assumes predictable behavior from us. They've conquered 17 worlds the same way. They don't innovate because they haven't needed to. Even so, the German Chancellor said, 10 ships against their fleet. We don't need to defeat them, Admiral Kim explained. We just need to demonstrate that conquering Earth would cost more than it's worth. The Secretary General called for a brief recess. Leaders broke into small groups, discussing options in hushed tones. The air of hopelessness that had permeated the start of the meeting was giving way to cautious determination. When they reconvened an hour later, Captain Yun presented more detailed capabilities of her fleet, including how they might be deployed against the alien vessel. The quantum displacement creates a momentary disruption in the surrounding energy fields, she explained. Based on General Lee's analysis, this disruption would temporarily interfere with their shield harmonics, creating a window for conventional weapons to penetrate. And if it doesn't work, the British Prime Minister asked. The Secretary General called for a vote. Option 1, attempt compliance with the Council's demands. Option 2, deploy Captain Yun's fleet in a coordinated action against the alien mothership. The voting was nearly unanimous. As the meeting concluded, the Secretary General turned to Admiral Kim. They demand an answer from Earth. What shall we tell them? Admiral Kim looked at Captain Yun, then back to the assembly of world leaders. They demand an answer, he said firmly. I suggest we give them one not with words but with action they won't expect. As the leaders filed out to implement the plan, Captain Yun remained behind with Admiral Kim. We have 3 days to prepare, she said. Is that enough time? It will have to be, he replied, studying the image of the alien ship on the screen. We've been building toward this moment for 10 years without knowing it. Now we'll see if humanity's greatest secret will be enough to change our place in the galaxy. Admiral Kim nodded, his expression resolute. Humanity doesn't surrender easily, Captain. That's something the Council is about to learn. Captain Yun stood on the bridge of the QDS Defiance, her flagship, as it sat in its underground hangar beneath the Pacific Ocean. The massive doors above remained sealed, hiding the vessel from both conventional satellites and alien scanners. Around her, crew members worked with quiet efficiency, checking systems and running final diagnostics. All systems green, her first officer reported. Quantum displacement drive is fully charged. She nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. For 10 years, she had led this secret project. Now everything depended on it working perfectly. The status of the other ships, she asked. QDS Courage is in position beneath the Arctic ice cap. QDS Spirit is under the Indian Ocean. The others are reporting ready at their assigned locations. 10 ships hidden across the globe in secret underwater bases. 10 chances to change humanity's fate. A communication alert flashed on her screen. Admiral Kim's face appeared. Captain, the final authorization has been given. We move in 48 hours. Understood, sir. We'll be ready. As Captain Yun prepared her fleet, a different kind of preparation was happening around the world. In factories from Shanghai to Detroit, production lines that once made cars and consumer electronics now manufactured specialized EMP devices designed to General Lee's specifications. The weapons wouldn't destroy the alien ship, but according to their analysis, they might disrupt its systems long enough to deliver a message the Galactic Council couldn't ignore. In Moscow, engineers modified nuclear submarines to carry these devices close to the alien scout ships that continued to harvest Earth's resources. In Bangalore, computer scientists created viruses designed to infiltrate alien systems during the predicted moment of vulnerability. Meanwhile, civilian populations across the globe were moving into hardened shelters, underground metro stations, repurposed mines, reinforced buildings, anywhere that might offer protection if the aliens responded with force. The movement happened without panic, a testament to humanity's resilience. People carried what they could, helped their neighbors, and faced the unknown with remarkable calm. In a secure facility in Seoul, Dr. Park worked with military strategists on the final crucial element of their plan, the message itself. It needs to be absolutely clear, she explained to the team. Nothing that could be misinterpreted across language barriers. General Lee nodded, and it needs to establish our position for any future interactions. They had been debating for hours, considering various statements and declarations. Each had been analyzed for potential mistranslation or cultural misunderstanding. The problem, Dr. Park said, is that anything complex risks being twisted or misunderstood. And based on their previous communications, they're expecting either submission or a plea for mercy. Admiral Kim, joining remotely, leaned forward. Then perhaps we should keep it simple, one word that cannot be misinterpreted. One word, someone asked. Dr. Park's eyes lit up. Yes, that could work. Their translation systems are sophisticated. A single powerful word would cut through any potential confusion. They discussed options, analyzing each for impact and clarity. Finally, they settled on it, a single word that would communicate humanity's position.